The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Rook.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, Paul Rook, and tonight's show, well, we've got an interesting one for you tonight. I'm joined by Kerry Greenaway. Hello, Kerry.
Good evening, and how are you?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Good. Yeah. So what have you been up to lately?
Oh, you know, the usual stuff, working like a dog as always.
Yeah.
You know, just the same old. It's all good though. I enjoy what I do, so I can't moan.
Yeah, cool. Sold any more stones lately?
Oh, I sold loads of stones, thank you.
Awesome.
And crystals and minerals.
Of course.
And tarot readings and all the other things I do.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, tonight's show, we're going to be talking about competition in the paranormal field. Okay, what do you... Is it good to have a bit of competition?
I think healthy competition is never a bad thing. However, I think when competition moves into the realms of too competitive, I think that's bad.
I do. I mean, I do think there isn't anything wrong with a bit of friendly competition. You know, it's always good to have a laugh and joke about and stuff. And yeah, there is times when it can go a bit bad. It can go wrong, can't it?
A bit wonky donkey, I think is the expression.
Oh, I love that, wonky donkey.
I think healthy competition is a bad thing. As long as it's done in the right way, you know, so competition is not a bad thing. But it does seem that sometimes it gets a little too competitive. Yeah,
I mean, this is what I was thinking when I first heard about these Paraforce, the awards. I did actually think to myself that, well, okay, it could be quite a bad thing because there are quite a lot of groups out there that like to pick holes in other teams, and for them to think, well, okay, well, we can now win awards, you know, and their competitiveness would basically try and ruin other teams. So that's sort of like where I was a bit concerned about it. But then having actually experienced the award ceremony and everything myself, I've actually found that they take good stead. It's you know, it's just a little bit of fun. It's not to be taken seriously. But I think there are teams out there that will take it a bit too far.
Oh, I think Jay just joined us in the house.
Oh, Jay's always making a splash somewhere, anyhow. How are you, Jay?
Well, I'm wonderful. How are you two tonight?
What was that? I didn't get that.
He said, how are you two tonight? I'm really good, thank you, Jay.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. We're talking about paranormal competition.
What? People in the paranormal competitive?
Yeah. Are they like that in the US?
Oh, it's terrible sometimes.
Really?
There are people that are absolutely horrendous with it.
Yeah, see, I think that's sort of like when it could go wrong. I think that's.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely something that is a major problem, and it's just not the paranormal though. People are competitive and egotistical no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, I think you get that in every field that you could work in. Even like security services and I don't know, shopkeepers and stuff. They all have their own competition out there.
Yep, that's just the nature of who people are.
Yeah, and it's just a shame that it has to turn nasty.
Oh, absolutely. That's usually due to, my opinion, shallow egos.
Yeah, there's a lot of those about. Yeah, especially
absolutely.
in the UK. Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. It can be. There's certain groups over here that's absolutely terrible with.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about as in one team, as in a group. I'm talking about groups of individuals. They're a whole little clique. They just do everything they can tear anybody down that they can.
Yeah. Do you think that the paranormal conventions sort of help the situation, or do you think they hinder it in some way?
As help the competitiveness?
Yeah.
It's based upon an individual. I mean, me and Teresa go to a lot of conventions and stuff, and we seem to walk away from there with more of a networking than we do any kind of negativity.
Yeah.
Depends on how you approach it.
I'd been to a convention last year, and that was really good. I actually got to meet some other paranormal teams out there, even build a few bridges. It was quite a good experience.
Yeah. But you put into it. You went into it looking to get some good out of it, to meet people. So that's exactly what you got.
Yeah, and also to experience their award ceremony. That was another thing, because I was a bit concerned of how it was taken. Was it too serious or not? And I just found that they used it as a bit of fun, just to like at the end of the weekend sort of thing. And it was literally just a bit of fun. That's all it was.
It was. It was a really good. There was always worries, but it was good at the end of the week. I mean, I have to say, it was just a nice, fun end to the evening where everybody who was at the convention was in one room.
Yeah.
And, we were all laughing and joking, and everyone was taking the mick, and everybody was having a good time and a laugh. And that is what it was. It wasn't serious. It wasn't like the Oscars.
No.
You know what I mean?
And then it brought out your competitive side, didn't it, Kerry? Because you was like, I'm going to get one of them next year.
I'm very, very competitive. I want a scary Mary. I am very competitive. I admit this. As a person, I am very competitive. And I like to do the best I can do. But I will not drag somebody down to get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody's doing something, I won't copy. But I will, if I see somebody doing something really good, I'll up my game without copying them or dragging them down. It was a bit in that way.
On that event, it was with you. It was a bit like that scene from The Wizard of Oz when you had the witch going, "I'll get you, my pretty."
I want one of them things. But it's how I'm competitive is I get competitive with myself. I want one of those awards because I want to have it. It's like that'll be my little personal Oscar that I keep in my toilet. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want it for. But as I say, I won't do that to drag somebody. I won't drag somebody down to get one. I'll go out and do the work myself to get one. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds like more that you're more in competition with yourself.
Exactly.
You're pushing yourself to strive to be better.
Yeah. I'm very competitive, but I'll admit that. Do you know what I mean?
But I think
I wouldn't drag somebody down to get it.
See, I don't go into the paranormal for any awards or any recognition of any kind. I just do what I love to do, and I just keep my head down, and I go for what I want, the initial aim. But it does seem that the more I do that, the more recognition I get from everybody else. Although I don't have to do anything, I still get the attention that most people crave, for want of a better word.
But you have to do that.
But I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying there. I try my same thing. I try to just do my thing, keep my head down. I don't worry about what anybody else is doing. And it seems like the more I do that, the more I get other people ask me what I'm doing. I'm like, have you seen how I act? Do you really want me around? Are you serious?
Well, that's it. I mean, I know people that go out there chasing fame for anything else, you know, and that, you know, they're always on about TV shows and, you know, getting their face in magazines and things like that. They all want the fame that goes with the paranormal, for like Most Haunted and some of the other TV shows that are out there. That's what some of the people want. But there are people out there that it comes to naturally just by keeping your head down and doing the work that you're focusing on. So obviously they're not chasing fame, but fame chases them.
Yeah, it seems like the more you try to push it away, the more people want to bring you to it.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit better than chasing it, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And because the other way is more egotistical. When you allow fame to chase you, or the people to push you towards it, they're pushing you in that direction because they want to see you succeed. They're trying to help you get in that direction that they think that you deserve. Well, you're just trying to just do your thing. The other way is all about your ego. Look at me, look what I'm doing. And that's a big turnoff.
Yeah, and I think that's the dark side of the competition.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the chat room has actually gone a little bit crazy right now, and there's a few points that have been brought up. So first of all, we've got Alan Crabtree who says, who doesn't want to get the best evidence, though? So he's talking about competitiveness in regards to who gets the best evidence. I don't think that's relevant. It's not about the best evidence. It's about the most credible and what's the word?
Oh, I want you to get the best evidence. I want to get the best evidence too. But if you get it, I'm not going to bash you down for it. I'm not going to try to tear it apart. If you have the absolute best evidence, good for you.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm still going to keep out there keeping what I'm doing. I'm not going to give up and say, well, you got a better picture than I did. I just quit. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to see if I can't get something myself.
Yeah, I agree.
Because apparently there's something out there. And it should... Somebody getting a wonderful piece of evidence should incite you and encourage you to try harder, not to be competitive on the level of, like you say, Kerry, bashing somebody or tearing them down. It should push you to strive to be bigger, to be better, to grow yourself.
No, I completely agree.
If someone posts on Facebook or comes up to me and says, you know, I've got this bit of evidence, I think it's the best I've ever seen, what do you think? And I look at it and I can put a logical explanation to it, or I can see how that it could be faked. I'm not accusing them of faking it or anything. I'm just saying, you know, it could be faked. So I would need to examine the evidence, test it, and sort of try and rip it to shreds.
Well, it's just about putting that evidence out to your peers, isn't it? It's not about ripping it to shreds. It's about putting it out to your peers and seeing if we can find an explanation for what that has captured. It's not about ripping them to shreds. I'm going to rip you to shreds in a competitive way because you've caught this great evidence. This is just a question of putting it out to your peers to see if it is the best evidence ever. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. What when I said rip it to shreds, I meant basically just trying to rip it down to its bare essentials and trying to investigate what it is actually captured.
Mm-hmm.
So, in obviously that respect, that's how you're ripping it to shreds, not just totally destroying them.
Not ripping the person to shreds.
No, definitely not.
Now, another point has been raised in the chat room. As I say, it's going a little bit on fire at the moment. Jason Forst is in the chat room as well. Good evening, Jason. He said, if there was a team or a group that you knew were running things in a fraudulent manner, doing things just for money, backed by lies, how would you handle such a situation? Is there a way without hurting your own credibility or sounding like you're just being petty? I think if you think that somebody's being fraudulent, then you should not tackle it yourself in the first. You should hand it to the correct authorities. That's what I would suggest on that one, and let them deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, if they are defrauding people, then obviously it is a legal matter and they need to be dealt with that way. But if it's like they're faking evidence and stuff, then I personally I just leave them to it. because give someone enough rope, they're going to hang themselves.
But you can also you can kind of confront them a little bit without being hostile about it. That's the problem we have nowadays. A lot of people want to attack, and there's ways of attacking people and talking with people that you can actually tell a person to go to hell in such a way that they look forward to the trip.
You can, but then there are times when people take offence to that, so I think it would just cause unnecessary argument, especially if it was, nothing to do with me. So if someone comes to me...
That's the easy way out nowadays. For me. Everybody's offended by something. Instead of dealing with the situation or facing it, they go, oh, that offends me, or that hurts my feelings, and then everybody's like, oh, poor baby. No. Adult up.
But then I've had this with another team. One of my friends actually come up to me and said, "Oh, I want to join a paranormal team. I've looked into this one. What do you think?" And I've turned around and said, "Well, no, I don't think that team is right for you." Obviously, I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I think it would be better if you left that team. But here's an alternative. Try these ones. I've heard these are really good. And obviously, I didn't promote my company because he used to be a member of mine anyway. So I'm like, well, don't go with that one. Go with this other team. And then that's what he done, and he's just so much better for it. So I mean, I can always persuade other people to go away from this bent team. But that's probably how I would probably tackle it. And I would leave the other team to it, because if they're going to start faking evidence, other people are going to realise that, and then they're going to hang themselves, basically.
I think that's fine on evidence, but if you've got people that are being, I think what Jason's getting at is if you know that people are being ripped off for money.
Yeah, if they're being ripped off.
I think that's where he's going at. Then I do think that if you out them yourself, then you are at risk of hurting your own credibility, because you've got no evidence to back that up. It just sounds like you are being a little bit
absolutely, and
petty.
It can also quite easily turn into a
bitch fest.
Witch fest, yeah.
I said bitch fest, hunt. But you know what I mean.
It can turn into a witch hunt quite easily. So exactly. I think if they're ripping people off, then you need to alert the authorities with your suspicions and let them deal with it.
One of the things over here in the United States, anyway, is if anybody that has any sense of credibility to me in the paranormal field has been attacked at least once, it's amazing. I mean, hell, I've been thrown under the bus 5 or 6 times. I just keep my head down and keep doing what I do.
That's it. I mean, if people ain't talking about you, then you're doing something wrong. That's the way I look at it.
And that's the sad part about it. And whether they're talking good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what people say about me at the end of the day. I know that there are some nasty people out there and they have been spreading things about me. But I don't care. Let them talk about it. I don't care. At the end of the day, people can make their own minds up. If they're that gullible and stupid to believe them lies, then I don't want to know them people.
And they're going to have people that's going to follow them. They have their little following. They've got people over here in this country that they're quite well known, and they've quit the paranormal and they're back to the paranormal. They quit the paranormal and they're back to the paranormal. They echo box session after echo box session and everything else, and they have their little following no matter what anybody proves or disproves about them. And it's just amazing. We got the Booth brothers are under fire again over here. Bless their hearts, they're absolutely wonderful gentlemen, and some ladies just absolutely blatantly lying on them, and even about the event that supposedly all happened at. It's just horrendous.
Yeah, and I do think as well, there's a lot of teams out there that do fold or for whatever reason, but sometimes they do make mistakes. But I think there's almost like a group of people that would jump on that mistake and just destroy the company. And I think that's a bit unfair.
That's extremely unfair, because if you make but do they own their mistakes? That's another thing. When people make a mistake nowadays, people don't want to talk about it. They want to hide it and things like that, where a lot of people don't want to stand up and own their mistakes and say, hey, look, they're right. I made a mistake.
Yeah,
how do I do better?
No, I agree. I mean, sometimes, yeah, they do. They do own their mistakes. I mean, I'm one person, you know, I've made mistakes like everyone else. And the sad thing is, one of these local teams keep jumping on the same fact, but they've totally distorted it, and they just make up their own version of events. But I owned that about 6-7 years ago, and I've moved on. And I'm doing really well out of it, you know, and I'm still in the paranormal field. I'm still doing what I love doing. I'm still getting I'm still getting attention from, you know, everywhere. I mean, I've even been asked to do a guest speaker at a paranormal convention next year. But it's something that came to me because of the work I'm doing. And I just hate bullies, to be fair. It makes the more people go on and dig at me, the more determined I am to actually, you're wrong. Let me just get to my goals. And I won't even bite back. I don't even bite back anymore. Whatever they want to say, let it go.
It's not worth
I think sometimes you brought up the point of, do people own their responsibility? Sometimes if the situation has gone into a legal field, they can't actually comment out.
No.
Everyone's like ripping people to shreds on social media about a mistake that might have happened. But if it's gone into like a legal realm, legally it might harm their case or the situation if they actually come out and put their point of view across on the social media. So they're told not to. They're told to keep off social media. And that's quite a common thing. And that's not just in the paranormal field, that's in business. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be very, very careful that people can't necessarily own their responsibility because it's tied up in legalities.
Yeah, I mean, there was a case, probably, we're going back about 4 or 5 years ago now, where a company had folded and there was lots of people out of pocket. And they obviously were all complaining on Facebook, gave the company a really bad name. But the case, what was happening was that it was an American company, and they had like a sub company in the UK. The UK bit folded, so it was down to the American side to sort out who was owed money, and it took them a good 3 or 4 weeks to sort it all out. But they got everyone their money back. But in that 3 or 4 weeks leading up to it, they were being slated and all sorts of things. It was a witch hunt for them. So, you know, sometimes things do need to take a bit of time to work through, but people are too quick to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on because we could get into a whole conversation we don't really want to be having at the moment. Carl Hutchinson says, going back to when it comes to conventions, these are a good thing as it gives you a chance to be in the same room with like-minded people who have the same passion. But when it comes to awards, I think some people take it far too seriously. And sadly, it can cause some people to get into the we are better than others mind frame. Mark D has said, my dad's bigger than your dad. And then another person said, it's a bit like the stars you get at Mackie D's. It doesn't make you any more special than anybody else. It's true. No, you aren't wrong on that one. You're so not wrong. It doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make you any different from anybody else just because you've got an award. But it was something that is very fun at the end of a paranormal convention. It is very focused generally on the people that are at the convention, because that's, you know, how it goes. And it was just such good fun. We're not talking like the Oscars or the Grammys or the
no, there was no red carpet involved.
There was no red carpet involved. I'm going to change that next year, I'm sure. I want red carpet. I want to rack out my ball gown and my tiara, please. But no, I'm joking, clearly. But it would be different if there was a massive paranormal awards ceremony that happened in London at a specific time of year. That would make it dead serious and I would perceive give people airs and graces. However, they really shouldn't and couldn't from the awards ceremony that I attended. It was fun. It was pure
It
fun.
was.
And it's down to the individual whether or not they want to allow that to go to their little heads or not. And that's down to an individual. And if that's how the individual takes it and you don't like it, unfollow. Don't watch it.
Absolutely.
You have that power of the finger. Unfollow.
Totally agree.
You have a small group here in the United States now. They're out in California. They're trying to develop a paranormal Hall of Fame. No, they're serious about it. This isn't a joke. They're very serious.
Oh, dear.
Oh, what? So people like Ed and Lorraine Warren and John Zaffis,
they'll have a committee. They'll have a committee that will actually screen the people and how long they've been involved and da 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 da. And I think that is with what this field truly is and what we're really truly doing in this field and what we can prove. That's light years down the road before we could ever consider anything like that. Yeah. And it's going to cause a lot of controversy. You can bet on it.
Of course it is, because the paranormal isn't just about going out and capturing a few orbs on a camera. It's about research and pushing the field forward. So, and that incorporates so many different fields that you're not going to be able to incorporate everybody into that field. It's not just about paranormal teams going out and finding it. It's about the research and the work that goes on behind the scenes. And
it
so
will become a whole ego thing.
Exactly. So I don't understand how that would work. It's not like you do a film like, I don't know, so for example, like the Oscars Hall of Fame or Walk of Fame or whatever it is. People are known for the films they've been in, that set body of work that they've done that's really good. But in the paranormal field, a quantum physicist could have just as much relevance in pushing the field forward and the research and the work as, I don't know, a geologist
YouTube channel?
a physicist or a scientist
or a YouTube channel
or a psychologist or a YouTube channel. Do you know what? No. So it depends on how they're going to do that. I just don't see how they're going to do that.
There's no way they could do it to me that gives it any form of credibility. I'm sorry. I know they're going to be mad if they hear this, and that's fine. They can be mad if they choose to. This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to bash them at all, but I think that it's absolutely way too far in the infancy of this field to actually even consider something like that, because we do not really. Can one person prove to me what a ghost really is? No. So how are you going to have somebody that's going to that's going to be the Hall of Fame who the person that discovers that should be maybe
and proves it?
Maybe not. Yeah, they can prove it. Not
just work on a theory.
Right. Everything we're doing is so theoretical. How are you going to establish a Hall of Fame on theory? Speculations.
Scientific experimentation, research.
Yeah. What scientific method has proven to actually be of value to the paranormal field so far?
Okay.
Proven.
I know. Right. So another point. Oh, this paranormal competition has dragged up so many different avenues, guys. How about this one? I am constantly, this is Richard Clements in the chat room, I am constantly puzzled with the fame and money aspect that keeps being brought up in the paranormal community. I want some of this money. I don't care about the fame side of it, but I want some of the money that keeps being brought up in the paranormal community. Do people seriously think there is fame and fortune to be had?
I don't think there is, to be fair.
Very few.
I run my paranormal team as a full-time job, and not even I make enough money from. It's
Brian Cano, bless his heart, one of the best and one of the nicest guys out there. Travels all over the globe doing paranormal things. He still has a job.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think there's you can't make a full-time job out of it.
Even Harry Price, going back in the day, had a full-time job alongside until he died, and alongside his paranormal research. So unless you are incredibly lucky and get that blockbusting TV series, unless you're incredibly lucky and get that, there ain't a lot of fame and money to be had.
I think a lot of people look at Most Haunted and Ghost Adventures, because let's face it, they're the two biggest ones, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
And they want to be like them. And I
want to be like you.
Exactly.
I'm trying to figure out which would be easier to find, to become rich and famous in the paranormal, or actually finding the demon.
Oh, well, according to Zach,
Well.
finding a demon. They're everywhere.
Well, he's already got the rich and famous, so he's got them both.
Ah, this is true. This is
Although
very true.
I do like the concept of John Zaffis, the haunted collector.
Don't you not my Johnny Zaffis?
No, I do like his take on things. Right, he walks into someone's house and goes, "Yeah, that's haunted. I'll take that away with me." I don't. Do you know what? I don't even think half the stuff that he's got is haunted. I just think it's valuable. I'll have that. Put that in my bag.
No,
he's just burgling people just on TV. That is.
You're just so naughty, Paul. You are so naughty. How dare you? How dare you say that? No, I think most of these people don't just do a paranormal TV show. They do an awful lot of work in the background on research. Yes, they do absolutely. An awful lot of work. They're out travelling and doing conventions and really working the field. They're not just like doing the odd, investigation here and there. They're also got books out. They've got museums. They've got other avenues of income which supplement that lifestyle that they want, their passion. And that is the key factor. And people seem to forget this. It's not just... I mean, even Most Haunted had issues and went off air for a few years because it wasn't making the money. And then they came back, had issues with Sky, came back under a new format. It's not easy. I don't care what anybody says. Even the TV side of it, it's not easy. No. And they don't have the best conditions. We heard that at Paraforce from Barry Fitzgerald and Joe Chin. Some of the places they had to... oh, my God. If that's fame and fortune, well, sorry, my standards are higher than that. I want decent hotel rooms.
But that's just it. I mean, there is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't realise that. All they see is you go into a location, doing your 3 or 4 hour investigation at an event, for example, and then going home again. They don't see all the bits and pieces that need to go on behind the scenes. And that's something that bugs me about when people go on about prices for events. I mean, because obviously I'm in that bracket of event company. I've got all the overheads. I've got staff. I've got to insure all the staff. I've also got to ensure that they're all first aid trained. Do you know what I mean? I've got so many overheads, and to sell the tickets to cover that and the location and everything else, it does need to be sometimes quite a high price. And I think it's most of the time, it's 9 times out of 10, it's the location that charges the most to put my prices up. Because I like to keep the prices quite low as possible. But when you're getting charged like 1,500 for a location to sit in the dark, I can't understand how they can justify that.
Here's an interesting question. Sorry, Paul, to change the subject. Carl Hutchinson, good evening, Carl. He says, oh dear. He went, if you were given the chance and a contract to do your own paranormal show on TV, would you take the offer and be totally honest? Yes, I would.
To be honest, yeah, I would as well.
For the experience, for the fun of it, just to say I've done it.
But it's a different thing if it comes to you or whether you chase it. If you're chasing it, it's an ego boost. It's for your ego, your own ego. But if it comes to you, then it's a great opportunity. But I would have to look at the contract first, because I wouldn't want to do anything that would put my company to shame.
True.
So I would have to look at...
That's a hard question for me.
I would literally have to look at what...
It would depend on what the show is. If you had total control over the show, then, you can do it how you would want to do it, not just recreate another formatted TV show. Do you know what I mean? But, it would... If it paid like, if it was well paid, obviously I'd do it.
Yeah.
I'd rather be doing that for the experience in the paranormal field than I would doing the job I do. I mean, I don't mind my day job. Don't get me wrong, guys. I am not slating my day job at all, because I do like that too. I'm very lucky. All the jobs I do, I really love. But the passion the thing that turns me on, as it were, the paranormal and the supernatural. If I could get out there and earn a decent wage, and if that be through TV, then yeah, of course I'd do it.
See, when we got offered that small, and it's just for an online streaming channel, so it's not that big of a deal. It's like having your own YouTube channel. But when we got offered that, I immediately put a team together to put them in front of the camera, and I stayed behind the camera.
So that would be one of my options.
I was offered the show, but I immediately said, well, can I put together a team? Like, yeah, and I put everybody, people that I put together, I have them on film 98% of the time. I do everything I can to stay behind the camera and off the camera, because I don't want that. I love the experience of getting to go out and to find these new locations, go into these locations. That's I could care less about where that camera's at. Don't want it. Don't want to involve with it. And I told them that from the start.
I think if it's going to be something like Most Haunted, I would possibly, like Jay said, set up another team to put in front of the camera on my behalf, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And let them run with it. And then I'll still concentrate on my other company.
I wanted to be able to, but like you said, that creative freedom is right there. That was a good thing with being a smaller network that doesn't really. It's a streaming network. This stuff that they said pretty much. I get my own editors. I get everything. We do it all ourselves. So I have complete control over everything that we do. Every location, it's determined by me, and we all work together on it as a team. We decide on a location together. We decide what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how our approach is. We have certain people that we don't tell anything about the location whatsoever, like Teresa, who's sensitive and stuff. We have and we have only one person who actually does any kind of history to it, finds out about that thing, and they don't reveal anything till later on, and to see what they actually. But that's the whole thing about it. I wouldn't do it any other way. So even if they offered me for a primetime network, if I couldn't have that control over it, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
But what if that gave you the option? Oh, nearly my drink over. What if that gave you the option to, in a funny kind of way, if that gave you the money and the opportunities that came off the back of doing that TV show to further doing what you want to do in regards to the research, that pay is a means to gain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'd still want that control over it. I wouldn't want to be beholden to somebody else to tell me. Oh, I've seen it too many times, like on Haunting over here, or My Ghost Story. I've got several friends that submitted their stories to these things, and it's not the way that it actually happened. But they film everything, and then they put it into a sequence that they think it would be more entertaining for the audience to watch. And it's all out of sequence, and some of the things have been changed and stuff. And I would never want that, because like Paul said, I've worked hard to get the reputation that I have. I'm not selling out my integrity for the money. I've got a day job. So they would have to give me that ability to keep some form of control over what's being said and done and how it's being presented, or I wouldn't be uninterested in doing it, because in this field, your credibility is all you got. It really is. It comes down to your credibility. That's not for sale.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I just think that, I'm going to sound awful. I'm going to sound so two-faced.
No.
I would. No, I'm not going to lie. I would go enjoy Most Haunted on a TV episode. I would go enjoy Ghost Adventures for the experience and the chance to talk to these guys behind the scenes and screens. Yes, what they get put out there isn't necessarily a true reflection of how they do things or what work they do. We know that Brian J. Cano, for example, does so much work, and so does Johnny Zaffis. They do so much other work, and the chance to talk to those one-on-one in between filming, I don't really care about that bit, the TV bit. It's that chance to get that connections and to get that knowledge and work with those kind of people in a way that I would not get that opportunity in any other way.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't get that kind of opportunity.
Yes, you can.
If a TV company offered to fly me out to America to appear on Ghost Adventures, I'd fucking snap the hand.
Absolutely, absolutely, you can get that opportunity.
Swore then. Sorry, guys. I would fly out. If they were paying it and putting me in hotels to work with those kind of guys, of course I would jump at the chance.
But you can't get that without having to do the film thing. Yes, you can. I've met every one of the people. John Zaffis. I met everybody now so far that you've discussed, except for Zach Baggins, and they're all very approachable, very down to earth, except for him because he's very introvert. He really is as a person. He's not as snobby as other people. Everybody thinks he is. He's quite an introvert. He switches personalities when the camera comes on, but John Zaffis is a wonderful guy. I've worked with him at Post Town, and it was a phenomenal night. Did an Echo Box session or a Ghost Box session with him, Jenny Stewart, Carmen Reed, and he was talking to his uncle Ed Warren. It freaked me out. It's just the four of us. You can work with these people. That's the good thing about the conventions. You get the chance to sit down. If you get working with the conventions and going to them and getting to know people and presenting your team there as not just going in and buying a ticket, but getting a booth there, that gets you more behind the scenes to talk to them because there's time that there's downtime. You can actually get to meet every one of these people if you really want to. It's a matter of putting yourself in that situation where that opportunity can happen. You don't have to go sell your integrity out or anything like that, or what your thoughts are to get a TV thing. You can still do it.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the funds. Well, I haven't got the funds to be getting on planes and going to America or Australia or.
No, but you could meet the most haunted crew.
Well, right, I could. However,
I wouldn't waste your time, but you could.
Didn't you just meet my friend Joe Chen?
Oh, I know.
I told you that was going to happen, didn't I?
I know.
When he came over there, I told him to look for you too, didn't I?
I know, and he did. And he did. He was dead shy. He was so shy with me, though.
You can meet these people. It's just making that contact and having that one. Everybody's about 8 or 10 people they say away from everybody on Earth. It's a matter of having those contacts and said, hey, you're going over to England soon, yeah? Our friend Kerry Greenaway with Parasearch Radio, she's going to be there. Hit her up. I'll tell her to come see you. Sure as the world. It's all there. It's a matter of taking that time and making that connection.
I know.
Without having to do all the other stuff.
I know, but they're so busy, a lot of these people. And I'm such a small fish. And it's not about wanting to meet the famous people in the field, because it's about the work they do behind the scenes that I'm interested in.
Picking their brains.
Exactly. I mean, when I had a really good conversation with Barry Fitzgerald, again, fantastic person. I thought him and his wife were absolutely amazing.
See, that's what I want.
Along with Joe, absolutely fantastic. And the work they're doing behind the scenes, not what you see on Ghost Adventures International or any of those. The work they do behind the scenes is incredible. And that is the side of it that interests me. And if I have to do a TV show to get to that kind of knowledge base, then I'm there. I'm all over it.
And I think that's what makes them better than most of the other people out there that chase fame. Because, okay, they might chase fame, but they've also worked. They've worked for their fame, if that makes sense.
But you could get there still, but it just takes you a little longer.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. There's a short road and there's a long road.
Yeah, I always take the long way around.
Same here. I take the long road all the time. But I like to do the work. I like to do the work that's behind the scenes. I don't just like to...
No, but then that's where you'll get the recognition, because it will come to you.
You'll establish the recognition and the reputation.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about, isn't it?
It is,
absolutely.
And I think that makes a better investigator than someone that goes on TV and just does the TV stuff. I mean, I've been into locations that Zach Baggins has been into and run out of. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just an empty room, but he ran out of it, scared.
Yeah, but he's more entertainer than what he is investigator in my book.
Well,
he truly is.
Yeah, entertaining for the ladies, maybe.
Very.
Well, I can't.
Yeah, I think maybe more entertaining for the ladies than people like myself, but. Whoever floats your boat,
yeah, but you've got people like Elizabeth Saint. I mean, gosh, she's gorgeous.
I don't watch any TV programs now because they just annoy me.
Oh my God, we've got onto TV pervings rather than competition.
but that's
they're all in competition. They're all in competition with each other.
I think you underestimate the work that goes into whatever TV show it is. I think the work that must have to go into the TV shows to have series after series after series shouldn't be underestimated, and the work that goes on behind the scenes. Now, are they competitive amongst themselves? They don't seem to be, do they? They all seem to have their own little niche, and they all seem to, poodle along.
Yeah, but there are some out there that come along and don't get any further than the first series, but they try to be competition for the others, and the others just see them off.
Or maybe
the problem over here is they put too many gimmicks to it.
Yeah,
that's the problem now. They're adding these gimmicky things to the Paranormal. Deep South Paranormal was a show that only lasted one season over here. The guys that are on, I've met all of them. They're obviously wonderful investigators and stuff. But they've tried to make it like the old. Over here is an old TV show called Dukes of Hazzard. It just like they try to make them old country bumpkins and even they even had somebody narrating it like they did that TV show, and it pulled away from what was really going on, and it became gimmicky, and the guys are absolutely, and the lady that was on her, absolutely, I've met them all, wonderful investigators, worked with them on investigations, wonderful people, great investigators. And that's why they didn't do it again, because it went hokey, and they got upset with it. They didn't want it to go that route. So they lost the control over it. The network says, oh no, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, there is still the underlying competition to get a better paranormal show out there. They might have their own niche, but that's how they're winning. It's a competition. That's how they're winning their viewers.
That's what they want to do it. The things they're going to have you do without having any say so or controlling it, the things they're going to have you do and stuff isn't worth it, because it becomes now when your show's canceled, everybody's like, oh yeah, you guys are canceled because you use a bunch of jokesters and hokers and all this stuff, and now what are you going to do in the paranormal field from there on out? Nobody's going to take you serious again.
No.
Well, I don't know. I think it's like I say, it's the other work you do that adds to your credibility. I mean, I'd watch like Joe and Barry and people like that on TV, and it didn't make me not want to talk to them, because I knew of the other work that they do behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to talk to Brian J. Cano. Do you know what I mean? Not because he's been on TV, but because of the work they do behind the scenes. That's what I've said before. But then I know what work they do, because I don't just sit and watch a TV show. I do a lot of work in the paranormal field. And it's not about fame for me. Actually, if I could do all of that without the famous bit, then yeah. It's not. So I'm not chasing fame. If I wanted to chase fame, I'd go on X Factor.
See, I don't entertain any of those TV shows whatsoever. I've seen, obviously, Most Haunted. I've seen Ghost Adventures a few times, but I would not watch them. My telly stays off. I can't stand those sort of programs. So when someone in the paranormal field becomes famous for me, it's because of their work, not because of what TV show they're on. And right. they've worked hard to get where they've got, and that, to me, I've got huge respect for them.
Yeah,
and taking a lot of beatings too, probably.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm more into the whole, what have you done for the paranormal field, as opposed to what TV show you've been on.
I'm quite happy with doing this right here, doing these podcasts and radio shows. I love it.
Yeah. I do too. I do. I like that side of it. I like the research side of it, where I sit down overnight and I'm just like, it's me, my tunes, and I'm working on a project or looking into an aspect. I mean, there are certain things that I'll look into that a lot of people probably wouldn't. I mean, I've been talking about this quite a lot recently. I've been looking into mines, and I've also been looking into window manufacture, believe it or not, all to do with a link that could explain something, an anomaly that was got on an investigation. Don't get me wrong, window manufacture is dead boring. I don't recommend it. But I will sit there for an evening and research that and email people and try and find out relevant pieces of information that could, it may not, it might be dead end. It might be a night of work where it's absolutely nothing comes out of that whatsoever. I mean, I've had plenty of nights like that. But that's the, oh God, I sound like such a geek.
but something did come out of it. Not what you expected to come out of it, but something you found out. You're either going to find out when you do that research what is going on or why it isn't going on. You still learned something from it. There's no wasted research.
And your work is being recognised because there are people out there that are taking notice of what you're doing through your own work. I mean, you've got that Living Paranormal. They're doing the Paranormal Convention next year that we're helping with. You know, so that's come along, and you're a guest speaker there.
I am.
So it's your recognition. That's what it is. It's your 5 minutes of fame sort of thing, because of the work that you're doing, not because of what TV show you're on.
So you guys are there doing conventions and speaking over there. Teresa and I is working over here. We're booked into 3 more for next year already. So it is paying off. People are listening because you've established your reputation as being sincere, even though you say you have, and you admit openly, that maybe it's a waste of time. Well, no, it's not a waste of time. You still learn something. It's kind of like the Edison thing and I hate to use his thing, but the light bulb. You found what doesn't work before you found what does work, but you're still getting research and you're learning from that. You're progressing and building off of that.
And then, a few years down the line, someone might think, well, actually, it is a theory, but you've already researched it and it was a dead end. So you could explain that to them because you've already done the research.
Well, it'll all be in my book.
See, that's a running joke with me. Everybody in the paranormal ends up doing one of the 3 things. They either get on podcast or radio, or they write a book, or they get on TV.
And I've been on TV. I'm doing
Mine was called America's Most Wanted.
I know. I done Heart TV, Heart Radio, the other few months.
Yeah, you did that a little while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, that was quite fun. That was Heart Radio. Again, this is something else because of my work. It was recognised, and Heart TV or Heart Radio wanted an investigator to come in and do half-an-hour investigations with their radio hosts for their TV channel. And I'd done that. I wasn't paid for it, but I'd done it because I enjoy what I'm doing. And that was recognised, and I'm quite happy doing that. It's not a problem. And I think I got about 2 seconds of video clip out there.
But it's out there.
It is, but it's out there, absolutely. And I don't. It doesn't go to my head or anything, and I'm still doing everything that I enjoy doing. It just adds to my CV.
CV.
But that's where your competitiveness is competing with yourself, to better your knowledge, to better your understanding, and then to also share that knowledge and stuff. So we're all competing on some level. It's just a matter of whether we're competing with others or competing with ourselves.
Indeed.
I have to say, I don't drag anybody down. I do what I do, keep my head down, and just get on with what I want to do. And competitiveness, other people seem to have it more than I do. Do you know what I mean? I go, oh, whatever. Get on with it. I'll do my thing. You know.
But you're competitive with yourself.
I'm very competitive with myself. Yeah.
See, I'm pretty much the same. I don't go around putting other teams down. If they are bad, then okay, they're bad, but nothing to do with me. I've got my standards, so as long as I stick to my standards, I'm fine. But I mean, everyone works differently as well. So what might be bad for me isn't bad for them. But I still don't put anyone down. I went to a paranormal convention in October, I think, last year. I think it was October. And some guy came up to me and said, I heard you were slagging me off last year. Yeah. I'm like, well, who are you? I don't know you, so how am I going to be slagging you off? And he told me who he was and what team he was with, and I said, no, I don't go around slagging people off. It's not who I am. I don't do that. And I said, do you know what? I can probably guess who told you I did do this. And I told him who it was, who I thought it was, and it was. He was spot on. And I was like, well, if you choose to believe them, that's up to you, innit? Not bothered, And I just carried on with what I was doing. But it was a case of he tried me up on it, and I was like, nope, I don't know who you are. I don't know I don't know nothing. I don't slag people off. It's not who I am. It's not what I do. I'm not interested in all that game stuff. I left school like nearly 20, 30 years ago. I don't want to go back there. Do you know what I mean?
We just had that happen down with Haunted Bourbon when we were down there in New Orleans about a month and a half ago. Before we went down there, we said, well, is there going to be a problem with these one couple going to be there? And the Yates, Jay and Maria Yates, and like, hell, I've never met them, don't know. Yeah. And they were asked the same thing by the same person. So I guess they were kind of seeing if we could kind of bump heads before we even met each other. But instead, it worked out kind of weird because me and Jay Yates walked right up to each other and says, hi. He said, I know who you are. And I said, I know you are. And we became instant. We just clicked, me and him and his wife and Teresa. We keep in constant contact now. We're networking. They're out in Arizona. We're here in Ohio. We're actually kind of networking between the two sides of the country. It's wonderful. So somebody tried to put us against one another from the start, and we turned it completely around.
I've experienced that as well myself, absolutely, and I think that's another benefit of these paranormal conventions.
Absolutely, I think there's a lot of benefits to them. But like we said at the very beginning, you get into it you get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're going to go there and sit in the corner and not talk to anyone, then you're not going to get anything out of it. You've got to put yourself out there, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to do a few conventions next year.
I think we're both going to do that.
Yeah.
So am I.
We got one at Ruffin Towers. I'm going to one in Skegness. That's a Paraforce one. We've got the Living Paranormal one at Ruffin Towers. And then I'm going to the one in Holland. Yeah.
And I really want to do the Sage one as well.
I'd love to do the Sage one, but I can't afford it.
Wow. We've still got plenty of time to save, haven't we?
We have, but with the other conventions as well, I can't afford it. Unless they want me as a guest speaker, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think we're at that league yet.
No, but with a bit more research and a bit more
work, a bit
credibility,
more books,
exactly.
Maybe,
you never know.
You never know.
And it's all at that level right now.
Oh, thank you, Jay. I love you, Jay. You always boost me up.
I had Brian Cannon one time when I said something about myself one time. I'm like, well, I'm not at that level yet. And he goes, you're at no different level than I am. I have more experience than you do, yes, but you know just as much and have the ability to learn just as much paranormal as I know or can learn myself. You can prove just as much as I can. None of it is absolutely 1% definable and provable. So therefore, we're all actually on the same level.
No. I've always described the paranormal as almost like building a pyramid. At the moment, we're laying down the foundation blocks. That's where we're all at. And in the next generation, will be a next learning from our experiences and our theories and stuff, and they'll be building the next block. And eventually, there will be the guy at the top who's proved everything, but it would be based on all our foundations.
Absolutely.
Well, aren't we doing that already? We're building on foundations that other people have laid, like Harry Price, you know what I mean? Right. Frederick Myers, you know what I mean? Even down to psychologists such as Freud and the other guy and Tesla and, you know, all those kind of people, you know, those... Sorry, Mark D. Perhaps at least we know where to go if anyone is doing a thesis as to window manufacture in the future. Maybe. It's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
I know quite a lot about that now. It's dead boring. But no, I mean, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. You know what I mean? And there have been plenty of other paranormal investigators that have come up with ideas. That's another great thing, that talking to other people, you know, they go, well, actually, have you tried this in the field, or we do it this way? I mean, we were talking on the Parasearch UK radio show over on Paramania the other night about the relevance of mediums in the paranormal field. And we were looking at different ways of how to use that as a tool in the field and get a better way of working with the medium, so you're not actually polluting your investigation. That was really interesting conversation. We came out with several different ways of doing it differently to how I've seen it be used currently in the field. It's not saying that no one says that mediums aren't relevant. We are saying they're incredibly relevant. However, how can we do it so it doesn't pollute the rest of the investigation on the psychological front? And that was a fascinating discussion, wasn't it, Jay?
Absolutely.
See, surely if you're using mediums, would that not be just classed as a ghost hunt?
No,
Because a paranormal, but to paranormal investigate, you're either investigating claims that have already happened, or you're basically measuring the environment to see if there's any fluctuations.
No, you're doing both at the same time. You're using spiritual along with scientific methods, as you know, the tech side of it, not scientific, but the tech side of it. And if you get that right, you get that balance right, so you can't argue it on a psychological imprinting perspective, and you work your medium in a specific way, then they can be incredibly relevant, because you've got to have. I always have said this from day one. I think we're not going to get there just by looking at it from a scientific point of view. We're not just going to get there from a spiritual point of view. We need to all work together and look at all facets, measuring the environment, trying to make up good experiments that we can use in the field. Use the spiritual techniques and that to try and help manifest alleged activity, if there is such a thing. And then you build a picture. You're not just looking at one particular aspect. You need to look at all aspects so you can build a picture. And that is what a proper investigation is about. Now, if you're just going out on a most haunted kind of ghost hunt, you have your medium, they walk around with a group, they do their thing. You then go off with your K2s and your spirit boxes and God knows what else that you've got. And you do your thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting here saying that. I've done plenty of those kind of nights and I've had loads of fun doing it. But if you want to progress the field, then you use all the tools in your toolbox, and a medium is one of those. But it's how you use your tools rather than just following the same pattern that every other ghost hunt does. You've got to look at it as more of a, you know, take your location as a laboratory, as it were, and work out how you can use your tools to see if they work in different ways, and, you know, try and progress it a little bit. But all those factors need to come together to work together. In my opinion, that is. Yeah. It's just my opinion. But I am a spiritual baby. I mean, I do hit it from a spiritual perspective, really. I know I look into other things like window manufacture and mining practices and, you know, God knows what else I've looked into in the past, and historical, you know, research and all that sort of thing. But my day job, you know, I run a crystal and mineral business. I actually approach it from a very spiritual perspective. Yeah. As you know.
That makes sense.
When I get in the field, I can't seem to get blimmin' tech to work for me.
Yeah. And you don't stock tourmaline rings either.
I don't stock jewellery. I'd only do rosaries that I make for an intention.
Well, waste
you
of
know
time.
This. Oh, shut up. If I was going to do jewellery, I'd do high-end jewellery, but even that I don't feel is fitting for intention work, which is how I work.
No, that's it. Just stick to what
this is a whole different ballgame
what
now.
you enjoy. That's it. That's the best way of doing things, I suppose. But we've like gone over. We've run over time now.
Oh, sorry. I went on a little rant, didn't I?
Yeah, it's because you're
I was enjoying it.
I went on a right little rant at the end there.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed your little rant. Sounded familiar.
So very quickly,
why is it when I'm with Jay? I always end up having a little rant?
I don't know.
He brings the rant out in me.
So very quickly, what have we got coming up next week, or for the week coming up?
Well, Haunted Histories tomorrow night. We have got Penny talking to Richard Eastep about Asylum 49. So that's a fascinating show. And she does her own show now. She does live and everything. So, you know.
Awesome.
She's brilliant. Then on Thursday, we've got the KTPF Reload show, or possibly something else. I'm still working on that. I'm going to have words with Mr. Mercer on that one. On Friday, we are talking about Stranger Things. That was inspired by a real-life conspiracy theory called Camp Hero in Montauk in America. So we're actually looking at the conspiracies surrounding Camp Hero.
Is that TV show?
Stranger Things is the TV show that's an absolute huge smash hit on Netflix.
Yeah, I've watched the first series of that.
Mate, it gets better. It gets so better. But it was inspired by this Camp Hero in America. So we're looking into the conspiracy surrounding Camp Hero. And to be fair, I'm actually doing the research on that, and that's absolutely fascinating. And on Sunday, I've nagged Mr. Andy Mercer to actually come onto a show with me to talk about John Dee, the philosopher and occultist from the 16th century, well known as Queen Elizabeth I's advisor. So I want to know a little bit more about John Dee. I don't know. Cool. I thought I knew a bit about John Dee, but clearly I don't. So I've got Andy Mercer, who knows a lot about John Dee, on Sunday evening. So yeah.
And next week on this show, we hopefully will have Donna Fox Butler on.
Yeah, we do want Donna on, definitely.
Yeah. So hopefully, if she's well enough, she'll be on. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Thanks everyone for joining me tonight. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Kerry. And thank you everyone that's been in the chat room. We shall see you all again next week.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.